Well, I do think the Sussex overdrive is unbelievable. But I mean, I don't think that he is going to get back in.
It is interesting how she's exposing her as a yacht girl, someone who was paid off by rich men to go and hang out.
Which showed that he is very commercially minded, which we'll get into later on, which makes it impossible for him. And of course, Meghan wouldn't come back to Britain.
I choose people whose lives are shrouded in mystery and they've climbed the greasy pole. They want to be famous, they want to be influential, they want to be powerful.
Is that Meghan has got no real income anymore. She's finished.
Right.
The Netflix series is over. There's no great podcast. They don't generate any money. And I don't see where she is going from here. I think she has a major problem.
Meghan Markle likely spent time with Prince Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein before she even met Prince Harry.
They want to hide their secrets, and I just love digging away to find out what they don't want us to know. It was Meghan speaking, and now we know it's Meghan speaking again. And so this isn't because the book contains...
She flirts openly with other men.
That her brand was in great trouble. American Riviera Orchard, that she had allegedly nicked the idea.
She wanted wealth and she wanted fame. And she targeted, there's no doubt she targeted Harry. And that was very critical because at that moment last year, she was about to promote her Netflix series and didn't want to firstly be seen with Harry, and secondly didn't want to go somewhere where she'd appear cheap.
Well, and also saying all that work to do in Africa, which he dedicated his life to, but prefers now to paddle in the Pacific in Santa Monica.
Right.
Or Monsignor. Well, he does it because he needs a profile. That's the only way they can get money, by showing the profile. And for Netflix, everything is built around the future documentary series to promote the Sussexes.
Declining. I think that his reputation is somewhat toxic. And I think Invictus is his only lifeline. And that's what she used as a weapon at the time. So there were quite a few things about her personal life. I'll work them into another book, I think. Meghan didn't like the surname Mountbatten Windsor. If you remember, in her first lifestyle series with Meghan with them forever, she says to Carling that her surname isn't Markle but Sussex. And she was desperate to get it. She said, we never had a proper surname, and of course they did.
Telling the palace what she's going to do. And I think the most interesting story is the Reitman story. Reitman's is like a Marks and Spencer's in Canada.
She was warned before she married what the nature of being Harry's wife and part of the royal family would be, and the nature of how she ignored all that advice for two reasons. One is she really did believe she could do what she wanted. And secondly, I don't believe she ever intended to stay. She always intended to take the title, take the connections and get back to California.
What if the royal fairy tale people believed in was never real at all? Just a shiny performance covered in glitter and perfect lighting? A polished illusion built to impress millions until the cracks grew too wide to hide. Because once you really look at the story of Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, the picture changes fast. Instead of grace and honesty, what many people see now is a brand tangled in contradictions, non-stop headlines, and drama so loud it makes Hollywood scandals look almost calm. Meghan didn't simply want to follow in Princess Diana's footsteps. Critics say she wanted the spotlight, the tears, the global attention, and the endless headlines that came with that legacy. But Diana earned public love through years of quiet compassion and dignity.
To tell the truth, I spoke to very few friends of Meghan because she put a fatwa on anyone talking to me who she could. So I sent off dozens and dozens of emails to her friends, and most of them didn't even reply.
Meghan, according to many observers, seemed more focused on controlling the narrative, turning every setback into another dramatic chapter that kept the cameras rolling. And Harry? Once known as a proud soldier with a rebellious edge, he now often appears beside Meghan, repeating the same frustrations about the royal institution. To critics, it sometimes feels like he's stuck in a loop, delivering the same victim narrative again and again while standing firmly in Meghan's corner. At this point,
Prince Harry, his heart seems to have softened, or there's been some sort of evolution. So I do think you're right that a lot of us were kind of caught off guard by the Prince Andrew decision, because we had grown accustomed to cuddly Charles, Grandpa Charles, with the grandkids in his lap. And when I saw the news, I thought, I don't know if I'll ever see anything like this again in my lifetime, but maybe I will because of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle.
Many commentators say the story no longer feels like a romantic fairy tale. It feels more like a streaming-era drama series spinning faster every season. The twists keep coming, the headlines keep piling up, and the audience seems increasingly divided about what to believe. Author Tom Bauer has stepped right into the middle of this debate. In his investigations, he questions parts of Meghan's past, the contradictions in public statements, and the couple's complicated relationship with the royal brand they once stepped away from. And here's the twist critics keep pointing out. Meghan and Harry often present themselves as rebels standing up to the monarchy. Yet at the same time, their global attention, media deals, and influence remain deeply tied to the royal identity they criticize. That contradiction has become one of the biggest talking points surrounding the couple.
Who does not want to inherit a mess. He wants the stables cleaned. He wants Andrew out. And coming on to Harry and Meghan, I think for them now in Montecito, there's a moment of grave concern, because stripping the royal family of titles was unheard of in our lifetimes and for hundreds of years.
Another topic often discussed is Meghan's connection to the legacy of Diana, Princess of Wales. Diana was widely admired for her compassion and emotional openness. Some commentators argue Meghan appeared to study that image carefully, adopting similar gestures, expressions, and emotional storytelling in public appearances. But here's the reality many critics highlight. Genuine emotion is difficult to imitate.
And then gets a sort of success, not just people like Meghan, but also often very controversial and, inverted commas, criminal businessmen or politicians and all the other people I've written, or the music people. I mean, I do find people who climb the greasy pole and junk victims on the way and are ruthless in their ambition fascinating. And I think that is what makes Meghan fascinating, because in the end, there are very few women who were C-D-list actresses who were really completely unaccomplished, but who in the end have perfected an image. And it's got to be said, I mean, if 75% of people disapprove of her in polls, 25% do approve of her.
When the public senses something rehearsed, reactions can quickly shift. Instead of sympathy, some viewers became skeptical, questioning whether certain moments felt authentic or carefully staged. And Harry, instead of guarding the memory of Diana, Princess of Wales, ended up placing that legacy right into a media spotlight that many critics believe was carefully shaped for public sympathy. To some observers, it felt like Diana's story was no longer just a personal family memory, but something being used as part of a much larger public narrative. What once felt deeply personal suddenly looked like branding, and that shift sparked serious debate. Many critics argued the comparison between Meghan and Diana never truly worked. Diana's reputation came from years of visible compassion and public service. When Meghan appeared to mirror certain gestures, expressions, and emotional moments, some viewers felt the similarities looked forced rather than natural. Instead of honoring Diana's legacy,
well, you can't ignore them if they keep popping up doing stuff like this. That's the thing. We're kind of in a mutually abusive, toxic relationship, aren't we? The media and Harry and Meghan, because they keep doing stuff wanting attention. Then they get quite adverse reaction most of the time. Then they react really badly to the reaction. And so it goes on.
Well, what it really boils down to is the threat they offer. If their threat was punctured, which I hope my book will do.
Critics claimed the imitation diluted it, turning something meaningful into a media spectacle. And Harry, deeply loyal to his wife, continued standing beside her through the growing controversy. But that loyalty also pulled Diana's name into every headline and every interview. To critics, something once considered sacred now looked like a recurring talking point in an endless cycle of public grievances. According to investigative author Tom Bauer, the Diana comparisons were only the beginning of the controversy surrounding Meghan. His reporting dives into long-circulating rumors about her early years in entertainment circles, including speculation about appearances on luxury yachts attended by wealthy figures and influential industry players. These rumors have circulated online for years, often tied to blurry photos, anonymous claims, and resurfacing gossip.
Listen, I brought Meghan Markle, whatever her name is, to my Deal or No Deal celebrity golf tournament.
But in the end, nothing beats the truth, the real facts.
She was one of my Deal or No Deal girls that were, she was a caddy for all of my celebrities.
So when Meghan came along into the scene, I just thought, this is fascinating. How is this going to play out?
Bauer highlights how those whispers became one of the most explosive topics critics bring up when discussing Meghan's rise in the entertainment world. Supporters argue the claims are exaggerated internet speculation, while critics say the unanswered questions keep the rumors alive. What is clear is that Meghan's story of building a career in Hollywood has been heavily debated. Some believe she steadily worked her way up through acting roles and connections, eventually landing a breakthrough with the series Suits. Others argue her rise involved strategic networking in elite social circles, where access and influence mattered just as much as talent.
And why did he somersault? Because he was under pressure from Meghan. And Meghan, when she puts on pressure with all her lawyers and all the rest of it, is a terrifying machine. I mean, it's what you call the Sussex war machine. And Kashner felt it and was very upset about it. And I was upset that he was upset because I had behaved impeccably.
Throughout all of this, Prince Harry has remained firmly at her side, defending her character and pushing back against criticism. But the rumors, contradictions, and heated debates around their story continue to resurface again and again online. And as Bauer's investigation suggests, the controversies didn't stop once Meghan entered royal life. In many ways, that was when the biggest conflicts truly exploded. Because if Meghan's past sparked controversy, critics say her present looks even more chaotic. The story keeps shifting in ways that leave people scratching their heads. In one interview, she suggested she barely knew anything about Prince Harry before meeting him. In another moment, she described looking into his life and background before their relationship began. Those two versions sit awkwardly next to each other, and critics keep asking the same question: which one is the real story? That contradiction has become one of the biggest talking points surrounding Meghan, Duchess of Sussex.
Harry, being a simple soul, has easily changed to suit Meghan's agenda, who she could use and who could serve her purposes. She did want him because she then was promoted from an unknown actress into a global star.
Some see her as an outsider who unexpectedly stepped into the royal spotlight. Others argue she carefully studied the royal world before entering it. The problem, critics say, is that both narratives keep appearing at the same time, creating confusion about what actually happened. And through all of it, Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex, continues to stand firmly beside her. Supporters see loyalty. Critics say he often repeats the same explanations and grievances during interviews without addressing the contradictions that viewers point out online. Each new appearance, whether it's a speech, documentary moment, or carefully staged photo, gets analyzed frame by frame by the public. What is meant to feel authentic sometimes ends up looking rehearsed to skeptics. The more interviews appear, the more people question the changing details of the couple's story.
What I discovered was, of course, that she was hunting for a man in England from 2013, and she wanted wealth and she wanted fame, and she targeted, there's no doubt she targeted Harry.
Investigative writer Tom Bauer argues these contradictions are not simple mistakes. In his reporting, he suggests the shifting narratives are part of a broader effort to shape public perception. But critics say the strategy may be backfiring because every new version invites even more scrutiny. In the entertainment world, reputation can shift quickly. Hollywood studios, producers, and streaming companies often pay close attention to public sentiment before backing major projects. When controversies grow louder, partnerships sometimes become more cautious. That conversation intensified after the couple's high-profile deals with companies like Netflix and Spotify produced mixed results. Some projects gained attention, while others struggled to connect with audiences the way many executives initially hoped.
And then they put out pictures of Lilibet, but it doesn't. You see her half covered.
Right.
But what you always see is Meghan. So it's all about Meghan again.
For critics, the takeaway seems simple. Massive opportunities were placed in front of the couple, but turning those opportunities into long-term success has proven far more difficult than expected. In Hollywood, perception can change quickly, and once public confidence starts to slip, rebuilding that image becomes a serious challenge. Some critics say the couple's media projects ended up feeling more like long therapy conversations than the bold entertainment people expected. Audiences tuned in hoping for insight, but many walked away feeling the content lacked energy and direction. Hollywood usually loves a dramatic comeback story, but constant explanations and public grievances didn't rebuild the couple's image the way supporters hoped. Instead, skepticism grew around Meghan, Duchess of Sussex.
I mean, Meghan is someone who doesn't hold herself back from complaining about people's way of manner, their way they talk, the way they behave, and all the rest of it. She has a narrative, and she's a very domineering woman, and so she asserted herself. And what was amusing was on the way home from Sandringham, they're all texting each other, oh my God, what a nutter, how on earth can he stay with her? And the same then happened.
Critics argued that the carefully crafted public image of a fearless reformer didn't match what they were seeing unfold. To them, the confident activist persona started to look more like performance than leadership. And in an industry that constantly judges reputation, perception can shift quickly. In Hollywood, reputation often acts like currency. When public opinion changes, opportunities can shift just as fast. Some commentators say Meghan's brand began losing momentum as projects struggled to capture the excitement studios originally expected. The narrative of a powerful new voice in media started to look uncertain. Meanwhile, Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex, appeared in interviews defending the couple's decisions and speaking about their experiences with the royal institution. Supporters praised his loyalty, but critics argued his appearances sometimes deepened the controversy instead of calming it. Industry watchers often point out that Hollywood is extremely sensitive to controversy. Studios, producers, and executives rarely like investing in projects surrounded by nonstop public debate.
Harry and Meghan should be more considerate of what's going on in the bigger royal sphere when they pursue attention. And I thought that was really cold, that she was prancing around in the sand, announcing a new Instagram account on the same day we're seeing headlines about Tiggy Leg Burke losing her stepson in a terror attack. I'm just too sensitive, huh?
Merchandising and branding is that she has neither the money, the talent, the inspiration, the people to put it together for her. Then she sort of come up with a ridiculous story that Netflix were going to produce it for her and sell it, which Netflix quickly deny. I mean, her problem is she has terrific ambition, but she cannot actually do what she'd like to do because she just isn't competent enough. Simple as that.
Once a brand becomes associated with conflict, partnerships can quietly fade away. That conversation intensified when major deals with companies like Netflix and Spotify produced mixed results. While the deals were initially celebrated as groundbreaking, several projects struggled to deliver the long-term cultural impact that had been predicted. Investigative author Tom Bauer argues that the couple's public strategy played a major role in shaping how their image evolved. In his reporting, he suggests Meghan often took a strong lead in media appearances and messaging, guiding the tone of interviews and public statements. Supporters view that as confidence, while critics interpret it as carefully managed image control. Over time, some observers began focusing on the dynamic between Meghan and Harry. Critics claim Meghan often takes the central spotlight, while Harry appears more reserved during public appearances. Supporters counter that the couple simply divides responsibilities differently when dealing with media attention. Either way, their relationship has remained a constant subject of global fascination. Every public appearance, photograph, and interview gets examined in detail by royal watchers, commentators, and online audiences.
Yeah, I mean...
You've got to remember another thing about all this as well. And of course, we might come on to this, but in Meghan's mind, she is Diana.
Yes.
I mean, Diana Spencer is Meghan Spencer. And that was all part of her imagination that somehow she could inherit the glow of her dead mother-in-law. So I think that was another reason for Charles to say no.
Critics often argue that the couple's departure from royal duties dramatically reshaped Harry's public image. Once known for his military service and charitable work, he is now frequently associated with media battles and ongoing public disagreements with the royal institution. Supporters say he is simply speaking openly about issues he believes matter. Bauer's commentary goes even further, suggesting Meghan's influence reshaped how Harry presents himself to the world. According to that interpretation, Harry's public role shifted significantly once the relationship became highly visible. Supporters reject that claim entirely, saying the prince is making his own decisions and standing by his wife. Regardless of perspective, the transformation of Harry's public identity remains one of the most widely debated aspects of the story. The contrast between his earlier image as a soldier and his current role as a media figure continues to spark discussion. Another sensitive topic critics sometimes raise involves the couple's children, including Princess Lilibet of Sussex.
She got so wrapped up in telling the news that she just blurted it out. She blurted it out live on air. And you can see the other guy's going like, what? What? Come on.
Commentators occasionally speculate about how carefully timed public photos or mentions of family life influence media attention. Supporters strongly reject these claims, arguing that the couple is simply sharing small glimpses of their family life while still protecting their children's privacy. In the middle of all these debates, one thing remains clear. The story of Meghan and Harry continues to generate intense discussion across media, entertainment, and royal commentary. Supporters see a couple fighting for independence and control of their narrative. Critics see a carefully managed media strategy struggling under the weight of constant scrutiny. And as new interviews, books, and investigations continue appearing, the debate surrounding their story shows no sign of fading anytime soon.
I was doing an interview to offer them a platform to tell their story about why they left. And that was my number one intention, was just clarity on why did you leave? And so some of the things that were revealed in that interview came as a surprise to me. And those surprises are now referred to as bombshells.
That Meghan never really intended to stay. Her guest list to her wedding showed her real ambition was to be a star in California. And Harry's friends were excluded from the guest list in the evening from the dinner.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle will still get paid millions of dollars for doing absolutely nothing. And that's just by Netflix.
Why are we still here?
Critics say that even small public moments involving Princess Lilibet of Sussex often spark debate online. The timing of photos, the discussions around her name, and the attention that follows sometimes leave commentators questioning whether these moments are spontaneous or carefully planned. Every time public criticism of Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, rises, some observers notice that family-focused stories suddenly appear in the headlines again. Investigative author Tom Bauer argues this pattern reflects a broader media strategy. In his reporting, he suggests Meghan carefully manages public perception, shaping stories that highlight certain aspects of her life while deflecting attention from criticism. Supporters strongly disagree with that interpretation, insisting she is simply protecting her family while navigating an intense media spotlight.
The more Meghan must have been convinced of her importance to the monarchy. Do you still think she's that delusional? And maybe the answer is watching her at Kevin Costner's 805 Live event in $300,000 worth of jewelry, including Diana's Cartier watch.
Wherever she is, whether it's at Costner or in Colombia or in Nigeria or wherever, she's always, her publicist will reveal that she's wearing one of Diana's pieces of jewelry.
Still, critics claim the repeated references to Diana, Princess of Wales, The emotional interviews and the family-centered headlines create an image they see as carefully controlled rather than spontaneous. To them, the pattern looks less like vulnerability and more like strategic storytelling. By the time the couple's media projects began struggling to gain momentum, many observers felt the excitement surrounding their brand had started fading. What once looked like a dazzling new chapter for a royal couple in Hollywood gradually shifted into a more skeptical public conversation. The famous interview with Oprah Winfrey initially shocked global audiences and dominated headlines around the world. At the time, it was treated as a massive turning point in the royal narrative. But as years passed, critics began revisiting the claims made during that broadcast, debating which parts were accurate and which parts were misunderstood or exaggerated. The couple's documentary projects, particularly their work with Netflix, were also expected to transform them into powerful media voices. Instead, reactions were mixed. Supporters praised the personal insight and emotional honesty.
Absolutely. If she were to separate with Prince Harry, the Diana 2.0 could continue to live thanks to the last name. That would give, it would still give her that royal sparkle that she needs. I do have that. Let's just jump to that. Meghan believed she was as important to the monarchy as Princess Diana, you write in the book.
Critics argued the series focused too heavily on grievances rather than forward-looking ideas. In Hollywood, public image can change rapidly. A celebrity celebrated one year can face heavy scrutiny the next. Industry insiders often prioritize stability and strong audience connections when choosing which personalities to support in major projects. Some critics now argue that Meghan's speeches about empowerment and social change have not fully matched the expectations created by her early media narrative. Meanwhile, Prince Harry continues appearing beside her in interviews and public events, defending their decisions and their independence from royal life. That partnership remains one of the most discussed aspects of their story. Supporters view it as a united front against intense public criticism. Critics argue Harry's once independent public identity has been overshadowed by the couple's shared media strategy. Bauer's writing frames the entire saga as a cautionary tale about ambition, reputation, and the dangers of trying to control a public narrative too tightly. According to that interpretation, the glamour and excitement surrounding the couple gradually faded as controversies and unanswered questions continued to surface. Whether one sees them as misunderstood figures or as celebrities caught in a cycle of controversy, one thing is certain. The story of Meghan and Harry remains one of the most talked about royal narratives of the modern era. If you want to keep following the twists behind these headlines, make sure to like the video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more deep dives into the biggest royal stories online.